So you join us today in Sutton Coldfield, where we have come down to see good friend of the channel, Mike, and find out about his passion for his beloved and beautiful Ferrari 355.
Welcome to Drivers Keepers. So Mike, just tell us a bit about the 355. I've actually had one too, but just tell me how long you've had this.
I've actually now had it for 27 years.
27 years. And what made you buy it? What? Just tell me the story behind it.
Okay, yeah, it was quite an impulsive thing. I bought it in 1997. What had happened was, very, very sadly, my dad passed away in 1995, and for all the things that you worry about in your life, you don't really know what disaster is until you've had a bereavement.
Yeah.
We've had a bereavement really early on.
Yeah.
And it sort of changed my outlook on life quite a bit in terms of you realise that, for some people life can be short and life's there for living and try to make the most of every day. And not long after that happened, I picked up the newspaper one day and saw this car in the newspaper and thought, wow, that's the most beautiful thing I've sort of ever seen. And I was working nearby the Ferrari garage a few months later, and I decided that I would just go in and have a look, and I would speak to somebody and just ask them what it's like to own a Ferrari, with the view that, I was 27 at the time, with the view that when I'm in my 60s and I'm retired, I'm going to try and save enough money so that maybe I could own that sort of car, and it was something that I just sort of dreamed of. So you're always very conscious. I wasn't earning very much. I'd changed my job and I was earning about £2,000 a month before tax. And so I hid my £1,000 super around the corner, and I sort of went in, and I expected to sort of get dismissed. But this very nice guy made me a cup of coffee, sat me down on a sofa, and we had a nice chat about Ferraris. And at the end of the conversation, he sort of said, have you ever heard of car finance? Which I'd never heard of. I'd been working as a financial advisor for, probably 6 or 7 months. And it was something new to me, and explained sort of how it worked. And they could finance me the car for £1,600 a month. Well, I was earning £2,000 a month.
Which leaves you with 400 quid.
Right. And I'd wrongly, because prior to that I was a policeman and I had a mortgage and I had my own house. And after I'd paid all my bills, I had 50 quid left to spend. That's how it was. So because my dad had passed away, I'd moved home with my mom to sort of help her out and for a period of time. And I was now doing a job where I was earning £2,000 a month. Yeah. So my life had changed quite significantly from that point of view. And I just moved out again into a flat. So I'd got, a reasonable amount of money spare compared to what I used to have. So someone saying, well, if you buy a Ferrari, you'll still have 400 quid left. I actually thought, well, I could do that. So that was the Thursday.
You just make it pay, don't you?
You do. You work it out.
You just make it work. Right. Yeah.
So that was the Thursday. So on the Monday, I bought the car.
Fantastic.
So it was like one of the, it was a huge shock, So I bought this car on the Monday. I got it. And I sort of went into a parallel universe for a period of time because, I was totally besotted with it and drove it everywhere. And I then discovered that my £1,600 a month wasn't tax deductible, so I'd actually got to pay for it out of my taxed earnings. I'd initially thought, well, if I keep it for a year and let it go, I've owned a Ferrari. Yeah. But I then felt that I don't want to let it go. And it sort of changed my life then because...
I've heard this story somewhere before.
Right, yeah, exactly, yeah. when I decided to go and work for myself, you know, you read a few business books and you learn about goal setting and that sort of thing. And I've never sort of, you know, spouted it off to anybody else. But I believe that works. And I work as a financial advisor and I help people plan, and we ask people what their goals are, then we help them get there. Well, for me at that time, my goal was keeping the car. So I worked on how I could improve my business so that I could make a better living and hopefully be able to keep the car.
Absolutely.
And I managed to do that, and I eventually ended up running my own business. And the car wasn't the only reason, but one of the reasons for taking a look at how you were working and can you employ more staff and can you make a bit more profit was sort of kicked off really by buying the car. I then bought a house, so I got somewhere to put the car. That was that. That was sort of the next thing. Yeah, absolutely. And the car opened a lot of doors because you end up getting involved in an awful lot of things because you've got the car. You know, you join the club and you meet some really nice people.
Yeah,
Correct.
you do.
Really nice. Yeah. So I'll always remember I bought the car in 97. In 1999, I went on a Ferrari trip to France, and you get paired up on tables.
Right.
And before I was a policeman, I worked at Barclaycard, and I was supposed to be a management trainee. And it also shows you that sometimes you can be in the wrong job. But anyway, I was supposed to be a management trainee. And anyone who handed their notice in, because they were getting a lot of competition from other visa companies, would be begged to stay. Well, when I handed my notes in to join the police, they told me I could leave that day. You know, so that I hadn't made a good impression at Barclaycard anyway. I went on this Ferrari trip to France, and I was sharing the table with the boss of Barclaycard.
Goodness
so
me.
It was, and we had a lovely guy. We had a lovely chat, and I thought, wow, what a difference! Taking the risk of buying the car, having to then change how I worked so I could keep the car. What a massive difference it had made. The fact that I was on the same trip as this chap, who a few years ago I'd been at the same company, and he was the boss, and I was the guy they were happy to let go in a day. I've done quite a few trips. I went down to watch the Monaco Grand Prix. I mean, a typical lads trip, not a great deal of planning. We drove down to Nice, and it was a trip organised by Evo. And when at the point of arriving there, everyone else was going into the hotel to sort of get changed in that. But me and my mate, you know, in our shorts and t-shirts, we've driven for hours. We thought we're going straight to Monaco. So we drove into Monaco, having no idea where we were going. And as we sort of got towards the casino, a guy in a top hat came down and flagged us down, got us out the car. There's hundreds of tourists taking photos. I mean, we were really, really embarrassed, you know, because we've sort of meandered into the middle of sort of Monaco. And he took the car and parked it outside the casino for everyone to see. I thought that was just as cool as everybody else who was taking photos. So we joined the crowd at that point and took our own photos, you know.
Of your own car?
I didn't think anything special.
To everybody else.
And then on race day, we set off from Nice to go to the race. And we had no idea it was going to be absolutely packed. I mean, the traffic was you couldn't move. And as you got further down the road between Nice and Monaco, there was a roadblock. So as we approached the roadblock and the policeman sending everybody back towards the motorway, we were thinking, oh, great, you know, how are we going to get to the race? We're going to miss it.
Get there?
Well, as we got close, the guy opened the barrier and let us through.
Really?
Yeah. And then
because you were in Nice?
Because we were in Nice.
Yeah.
So we got to the second barrier, let us through, and we parked at the side of the race track for the race. So, you know, in some places, these cars are really revered.
Yeah, absolutely.
At the time, it was a new car. So that was a wonderful, you know, so all these little experiences.
It is. And these sort of cars just do that. They open doors, but they also just enhance your life, don't they? You know, when you get them, as you say, you meet so many nice people, you go on so many trips. And just tell us a bit about the maintenance. So over the years, what, as it, you know, you've had it 27 years, which is much longer than most people ever keep the cars. What's it been like?
I did initially use the main dealership, but despite the fact that I bought the car, I wasn't a wealthy guy. You know, I was really, really working on a small margin. And I think my first or second service with the main dealer was about £5,000.
Right.
I mean, and I just thought, I was gutted, really. I thought, I can't afford to keep this. It's crazy money.
Yeah.
And I contacted the Ferrari Owners Club just to ask, really, if they've got any suggestions. And they gave me some details of some independent specialists. So the nearest one to me was Shiltech in Loughborough.
Okay. Where were you living then?
When I first had the car, I was living in a flat in Sutton.
Right, okay.
And which, ironically, my flat cost me a third of the price of the car, which puts in perspective just how expensive the cars were at the time.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, I was living in England, and he put me in touch with Shiltech, and I went to see them, and they saved my ownership of the car.
Really?
And they'd always get to the bottom of any issues, and that's enabled me to keep the car. And I would say it probably, because one of the things I've seen online is when people talk about these cars, saying they're expensive to run. But I mean, I'd say averages out about £1,000 a year. I think what you've got to bear in mind is it depends how the car's treated.
Yes, yeah.
So you can go online, you'll see people doing donuts in car parks and things like that. Well, of course, I'd never do that.
No.
And I you know, I treat it well. I wait till it's warmed up before you put any sort of revs on it. Of course. Yeah. And you know, don't do anything silly with it. And I've never ever had an issue.
So just remind me of the mileage again. What it's got?
It's now done 55,000.
55,000. Goodness me, yeah.
I'm starting to use it more again because now the kids are older.
Yeah.
And I've recently joined like a driving group just for a bit of fun that you can go and do a few trips with, because I know a few friends now. I don't know whether you can't call it a midlife. It's more of a retirement sort of based issue. You know, people sort of get closer to finishing work, and I think these days they've got a bit of spare money, and they will buy themselves something that's been their dream car.
Yeah, of course.
And they organise drives, and if someone else is organising a nice route for you, that's quite a nice thing, just to turn up on a Saturday or Sunday morning.
Oh, definitely.
And go off.
Feel the engine just a tick over, can't you? Right through through the seat. You don't get that in the 430.
Oh God, so it is great being in one of these again.
I tell you what, Sam, this is quite a big deal for me. I feel a little bit emotional because this is ground zero as far as Ferrari is concerned for me. Because when these came out, I was early 20s, so I was driving, the new Ferrari came out, and I could kind of imagine myself in one, and it was the first time that I'd really lusted after a Ferrari.
Yeah.
First one I ever sat in years ago at an auction in Buxton.
Oh, me too. I remember seeing John O'Lacey driving these on Ferrari's publicity campaign at the time, driving them round circuits, the 355, and I remember seeing the back end, not of a Lacey, of the 355, and my God, did I think what a stunning, and it is one of the best back ends on a Ferrari, without a shadow.
Just been following it in the Cayenne, it looks incredible.
Yeah. Oh, you know, it's what Mike was saying, it's so true, that they're not too fast, they're not silly fast like some modern supercars. They're fast enough to be enjoyed, but not daft that you've got to be on the ball all the time.
Does it bring back memories then?
Yeah, it does, it's very it's a bit emotional actually, because I loved the 355 Spider I had.
Was it red?
Yeah, it was red with magnolia trim.
Oh, beautiful.
And I was just saying to Mike, he said, how much did he sell it for? And I said, 38 grand.
Oh.
And it'll be what, 100 now?
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah, it is what it is.
Travelling behind it, it's quite a small car. I'm surprised how how small it looks on the road, but it doesn't feel small inside. It's plenty spacious enough in here, isn't it?
I'd be interested to see what the dimensions are actually compared to yours, the 348.
Yeah, a lot smaller, I would say. Certainly looks small on the road. Listen to it on tick over. It sounds so good.
The clutch is lovely as well. Really just dead easy.
I tell you what, Sam, considering it's a 30-plus-year-old car,
it's really tight.
Not a rattle,
no,
not a creak.
Mike was saying that he budgets £1,000 a year for maintenance.
Right.
So you'll have to ask him about that, because you'll know more about it than...
That's very reasonable. Wish I could get away with that. But it feels quite modern as well, doesn't it?
Yeah. Oh, it's such a lovely note.
Isn't it? Just puts a smile on your face. Oh, it's just from the passenger seat. It's everything I hoped it would be and more. It is exactly as I imagined when I was in my 20s looking at it thinking, oh, yeah, look at that.
So how does this compare to the 430, Simon?
Very favourably. Yeah. My gearbox is quite snicky. I quite like how there's not a lot of throw from gear to gear, but this is way more.
Yeah.
I don't know what the word is. Not short. It's shorter. It's a shorter throw. It's beautifully positioned and feels incredible. Like you said, it's really friendly. The clutch is
the clutch is lovely,
really progressive, easy to balance all the pedals. The controls feel beautifully weighted. Oh, bloody love it! I knew I was going to love it. I knew I should have bought one of these years ago. Oh, what a car!
Mike was saying that this was 96 grand when he bought it.
Right.
And it was more than the cost of his flat.
Yeah, but what do you want? A flat or this? You want this?
Exactly, yeah.
Every time.
It's a similar story with me, as you know.
Yeah. Oh, it's not disappointing at all. I'm so pleased. To drive a 355 for best part of 35 years probably.
Really?
Yeah. I only ever sat in a stationary one at this auction in Buxton. That was probably only 20 years ago, and that's the first time I ever even set foot inside a Ferrari. And even then I was a bit not sure whether I should or not. I don't know. I think I'd built them up in my head to be such a thing.
Yeah.
That I didn't want to be disappointed, so I kind of admired them from afar. What a waste of time that was. I should have got stuck in.
Yeah.
It's a bit more scuttle shaky than the 430.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, it's probably because it's what? Oh, mind you, yours is a Spider.
Yeah, so. I mean it's a GTS, so it's going to be more scuttle shaky than the GTB. But yeah, my Spider feels a bit more. I mean, it would do. It's a different design, and things came on, didn't they? They always improve that scuttle shake with every iteration of new Ferrari. I mean, it's not terrible, not by far, but it's noticeably there a little bit more than I notice it. I reckon now with things like the McLarens and the newer Ferraris where it's the carbon fibre toe, there is no scuttle shake now. You just take the roof off, it makes no difference.
blip then.
Lovely. Love it, love it, love it.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Wow.
Beautiful, isn't it?
I'm so glad I'm not disappointed.
No.
Love it.
Oh, it's just epic. It really is.
Oh, good.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, yeah, it's just great.
So there's another episode of Drivers Keepers. We really hope you enjoyed it, and we must say a huge thank you to Mike for letting us come and find out all about his stunning car. If you enjoyed it, you know what I'm going to say now. Please give it a thumbs up. How could you not have enjoyed it? Please give it a thumbs up and subscribe.
See you on the next one. Bye.